This week's top five video is another request from OAW patron Khalil Young. Salute to you, sir. And if you have a topic for a top five video of your own, please become a patron at patreon.com/OAW. Link is in the description box below. And with that being said, this is going to be my top five favorite fights in Yu Yu Hakusho. Let's get on with it.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Greetings to everyone watching live and everyone watching after the fact. Shout out to the faithful and salute to the patrons. This is Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, here to bring you all another top five video this evening. And tonight we are going to go ahead and I'm going to give you, you know what's kind of funny about this? It's kind of funny. This is sort of like a little follow-up to my top five favorite anime fights. But let me tell y'all what happened. So I went ahead and I decided to hit my man Khalil up this week, because new month, right? And so I was like, all right, Khalil, man, thanks for being a patron again. Thanks for supporting the channel and whatnot. All right, man, what's your top five requests for this month? And he's like, say, man, have you ever done top five favorite Yu Yu Hakusho fights? And I'm like, no, I don't think I ever did. I'm like, all right, yeah, that's no problem. I can do that. So what happened is I go ahead and I make a little list, right? Because I'm like, oh yeah, top five favorite fights. I got that list. No problem. I'm like, yeah, this one and that one and this one and that one. And then I went ahead and I looked up like Yu Yu Hakusho fights, like a list, like a compilation list. And all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, I forgot about that one. And I forgot about that one. And I forgot about this one and that one. Lo and behold, it ended up becoming a much more daunting task than I originally anticipated. But nevertheless, I was able to put together one. This one's going to be a little interesting. It's going to be a little interesting for you all. I can honestly say that. But once again, hey guys, let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think about this list. Let me know what some of your favorites are. Please, by all means, submit those in the comments below, either the live comments or the comments if you're watching after the fact. Also, I will be taking questions at the end of this video, once again, pertaining to the topic, but any and all super chats, comments, and questions will be read right here live on the show. Cool? All right. So let's get started with this. All right. So yeah. Okay. Usually I do a breakdown of like what consists of a fight in order to make it on this list, right? Actually, this week is a little bit more straightforward. These are just going to be my top five favorite picks for whatever reason, and I'll get into more detail about that with every pick, about why I picked this fight, why it's on the list, and why it's ranked where it is on the list. Because I did do this list in order of favorite to, least favorite to favorite, right? So number five, and then number one is my all-time favorite. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and let's jump into the list. So coming in at number five, booyah, Hiei versus Seiryu from the Four Saint Beast arc. This is number five on my list. All right, so why is this number five? I'm gonna tell y'all. Well, okay, first and foremost, why is it on the list and why is it number five on the list? It is on the list because this was my gateway fight into Yu Yu Hakusho. When I started watching Yu Yu Hakusho, the first episode of Yu Yu Hakusho I ever saw was the episode with Byakuya, the White Tiger. And of course, that's a two-part episode with his fight with Kuwabara, right? And that's the fight right before this one, right? So I saw the first episode with Byakuya, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And then, of course, I come back the next week because I started watching Yu Yu Hakusho when it was airing on Adult Swim. This was the spring of 2002. Spring of 2002, right after my seventh grade year, right, was when I started watching it. So at that point, yeah, that's where they were. They were like in the Four Saint Beats arc. So I saw the first two episodes with Byakuya, and I'm like, all right, this is okay. This is okay. I can see why my buddy recommended this to me. Third episode was this fight. And this was the fight where I was like, holy, I got to keep watching. Oh my God, that was amazing. I got to keep watching, right? So yeah. So suffice it to say, Hiei, Seiryu, this was the fight that kind of sold me on the show, if you will, right? All right, so yeah, let's talk about the fight real quick. Short fight, right? Which is one of the main reasons why it's like number 5 on my list, right? Because this was a very short fight. Some might even argue it wasn't really a fight at all because Hiei just decimated old boy. But the thing I like about this fight, right? So a couple of things. Number one, this fight did a good job at kind of setting up some of our expectations for Hiei moving forward. Now, granted, this is the second time we see Hiei in the series because this is after the Three Treasures arc, right? This is after that case, right? And of course, we've already seen Hiei, go toe to toe with Yusuke. But dude, what Hiei did in this fight compared to that first fight, we've already seen Hiei start utilizing skills we never seen him use before, and it kind of was a nice setup to some of the things we would see him do later on. So what do I mean by that? Okay, number one, we never got to see Hiei use that sword as proficiently before in this fight, right? Number two, his super speed, like, yeah, of course he used super speed against Yusuke, not the same type of speed he uses here against Seiryu. And that kind of becomes Hiei's bread and butter throughout the rest of the series, right? It's his super speed, right? Here's the other thing too, though, and this is the most important thing to take away from this fight. Keep something in mind. There were 4 Saint Beasts within May's castle, and essentially the way May's castle was set up was sort of like Game of Death, right? Where you work your way up to the castle, and the difficulty level in terms of adversaries increases as the level increases, right? So with that being said, like Jinbu, he was the weakest, right? Byakuya was the second. Seiryu was third, which means he was the second strongest of the 4 Saint Beasts. Okay. Second only to Suzaku. Okay. But Hiei dispatches the second strongest Saint Beast, and he does it almost effortlessly. The reason why I said that's very good foreshadowing is because essentially, and it's been argued at certain times throughout the series, but essentially Hiei has always been the second strongest character in the series behind Yusuke, right? Or at least, or I guess a good way of saying it is the second strongest protagonist, right behind Yusuke. And we see that repeated in Dark Tournament. We see that somewhat in Chapter Black, and then I would even argue we see it in Saga of Three Kings. Because as much as I love Karama, let's be and like I said, see, it's always argued, right? Because the power levels fluctuate so much between throughout the team, throughout the series. Because let's consider this: in Dark Tournament, there was a portion in time. There was a portion in time where Karama was the strongest. Once he was able to transform into Yoko, you could argue he was the strongest, right? Then you could argue that before Yusuke got the Spirit Wave, Hiei might have been the strongest. Because remember, who did Hiei want to fight in the Dark Tournament? He wanted to fight Toguro, younger Toguro, right? Okay, right? By the time we get to Chapter Black, when we find out what Kuwabara could do, you could argue Kuwabara was the strongest at that point. And then, of course, when Yusuke comes back, then he's the strongest at that point. But then fast forward to Saga of the Three Kings. Keep this in mind. Remember this. Say what you will about Karama and Hiei, wherever they fall on the power scale. Karama never went up against one of the Demon World Kings. Hiei did. Hiei went toe to toe with Makoro, and for a while held his own against Makoro. I would make the argument Hiei is the second strongest as of that story arc. Just saying. So that's one of the things that was kind of set up with this fight. We kind of got the sense that it was always going to be like Hiei and Yusuke going toe to toe, contending for like the most powerful of the protagonists. And then, of course, it's just a really cool fucking fight. That's another reason why it made it on my list. But like I said, I'm going to say it's number 5 because the only real main classification for putting this on my list was the fact that it was my gateway fight. It was the fight that sold me on Yu Hakusho. So there's that. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to number 2. Nah, I mean, number four. I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead of myself. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's move on to number four. I get a feeling that number four is going to surprise a lot of people, but okay. All right. So let's see. All right. So coming in at number four. Oh yeah, yeah. That's my number four. Number four is Yusuke versus Toguro, the Dark Tournament Finals. So like I said, I think it's going to be a surprise for a lot of people that this fight is so low on my list. Um, but like I said, this is a list of my favorites, not necessarily the list of the best. And I'll be honest with you all. So not only was it difficult for me to add this fight onto my list, it was also difficult to place it, to rank it on my list. Here's the thing though. For the most part, I felt like the Yusuke Toguro fight was almost obligatory, right? Because it is arguably the biggest fight in the series. I would make the argument is actually the biggest fight in the series. I think even bigger than Yusuke and Sensui, just because of the setup for this fight, the lead up, the build up to it, but then also because of the significance that this fight has within the history of the story, with the whole thing with Genkai and her and Togoro's relationship, and even going as far back as to like the early years of the Dark Tournament and all that type of stuff. Like so much of the the story's, like origin is wrapped up in this fight. It's very pivotal in that sense. Like honestly and truly, like I could make the argument that you could have ended the series after this fight, honestly, because that's how paramount it was at that point in time in the story, right? And yeah, in certain in certain regards, the Sensui fight and Chapter Black as a whole kind of takes it up to the next level. That's true, but because Chapter Black deals so much with like introspection, and it deals so much with like it's so much of a it's so much of like an internal, like a commentary on the premise of the series from the get-go. Like it's so introspective that that some of what I'm talking about I think gets lost a little bit. But like I said, you can make the argument. You can make the argument that Yusuke and Sensui is just as big as Yusuke and Toguro. Me personally, I think Yusuke and Toguro is a little bit more significant to the story, right? That's just my opinion. Um, wow, of all the times to be messaging somebody, dude, I'm having a show, bro. I'm having a show. Um, that's my man Hugo Strange. That's my man Hugo Strange. All right. So anywho, so okay, so why did I feel obligated to add it to the list? Like I said, because of how significant this fight is to the story. But let's be honest about this. We spent an entire story arc leading up to this. I mean, even we spent not only did we spend an entire story arc, even a mini arc. If you consider like me personally, I consider Tarukane's stronghold as sort of like a mini arc, right? Even then, like we just there was too much, right? There was too much build up to this fight. Um, this was as blockbuster as it gets, right? And then, of course, taking consideration everything that happens right before this fight. Yusuke getting the spirit wave from Genkai, Toguro killing Genkai. I mean, dude, after that, everybody and their grandmother was waiting for this fight. We all expected it. We all knew it was coming. We knew there was no way Team Urameshi wasn't getting out. They weren't going to get knocked out before the finals. We knew they were going to make it to the end of the tournament. But after what happened to Genkai, everybody was ready for this fight, right? And the fight does deliver. It does live up to the hype. The stuff we see in this fight is just ridiculous. Okay, it's just ridiculous. Okay, some of the reveals in this fight was really good in terms of reveals, right? So what am I talking about? Yusuke spirit cuffs. Dude, that was such a middle finger to Toguro. You know what I'm saying? Even Toguro comments on that, right? So Yusuke spirit cuffs. Such a middle finger to him, right? And he's like, of course, if you was training under Genkai, I knew that heifer was gonna put spirit cuffs on you, right? So that reveal. Of Toguro at 100%. That's probably the biggest reveal of the fight, is to see Toguro in his final form, especially since throughout the entire Dark Tournament, we keep hearing Toguro specifically and explicitly, right? Mention that, oh, I'm only using 15%, I'm only using 25%, I'm only using 50%, right? I'm only using 30% power. So we wanted to know, what does 100% looks like? So that was another big reveal, right? Yusuke, well, I mean, it's more it's not so much because it's not really a power, it's just sort of like a manifestation. Like, dude, even like the spirit phoenix, which I mean, that was kind of expected after we saw what happened with Pooh, which, for the record, Pooh isn't a phoenix. I actually forget the name of the bird at this moment, but what Pooh evolves into, it's a creature from Japanese, actually no, I think it's Chinese mythology, but it's not a phoenix, but it's sort of analogous to a phoenix in the West, right? Like, for all my Pokemon fans in the building, Ho-Oh, it's that type of Ho-Oh is based off of that same like mythological bird, but it's not a phoenix, but it's like a phoenix. But so yeah, so even seeing like Yusuke's spirit energy manifest into that, like, not so much a reveal, but it was still cool to see, right? And then like I said, really cool moments, dude. Toguro turning parts of his body into little bullets and literally shooting them at Yusuke like this, at like a machine gun speed, automatic rifle speed, and Yusuke just, fucking bouncing the bullets off of himself like Wonder Woman with them damn bracelets. Just, dude, that was some cool shit. There was a lot of cool shit in this fight. But I will say this: it's ranked as low as it is because there's a lot of fucking talking in this fight. Arguably too much damn talking. There's just too much damn talking in this fight for me. And the whole Kuwabara thing, I can't, like I saw that coming. I knew that was going to be the case with Kuwabara. So it kind of felt like a distraction. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. 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 So yeah, so that's why it's number 4 on my list. All right. But yeah. Yusuke versus younger Toguro. Good fight though. Good fight. Real good fight. Alrighty, so let us go ahead. I actually gotta pull up a separate window for this one because, Lord, y'all wouldn't believe how hard it was to find. I couldn't even find a picture of this fight. Can you believe that? I should have just took screenshots because I own the series. I should have just uploaded the series on VLC player and should have just took screenshots for the sake of the video. But yeah, man, it was, dude, it was a pain. It was a pain to find pictures of this. All right. So yeah, let's get ready for number 3. So number 3 on my list of top 5 favorite Yu Yu Hakusho fights. Ba-boom. Yusuke versus the Doctor. Yusuke versus, what is it? Kamiya? Yeah, Dr. Kamiya. Yusuke versus Doctor in Chapter Black. Yeah. This was a damn good fight. It's a damn good fight. Okay, so why is this number 3 on my list? All right. First off, the fight's a bona fide favorite of mine. The whole, like, those episodes are some of my favorite episodes in the series. And the reason why I say that is because, so Yu Yu Hakusho is like a supernatural, action series, right? It's supernatural action. I've heard it said, I've heard it considered a horror series. Never thought it was, never really considered it much of a horror series until this episode. The Doctor episodes and the fight in the hospital, the whole deal with Dr. Kamiya, right? That was the first time the series actually legitimately felt like a horror property. Um, those episodes, and I see one comment here by Kata Curry fan. He says Chapter Black becomes horror like. Yeah, yeah. Most of I would probably say Chapter Black is probably when the series feels like a horror series. But this one, dude, this encounter felt like something straight out of a slasher film. The way it's written, the setup, the way Doctor's powers are used, and then of course, what's another cool? Okay, so for those of y'all who may not be familiar with it, and for those of y'all who are, quick refresher about what happens in this fight. Okay, so what's going on is in Chapter Black, at this point in time in Chapter Black, Yusuke and the rest of his team, they are trying to pretty much confront the members of Sensui's team, right? But they're trying to be as inconspicuous as possible, right? They're low key. That's why they're wearing casual clothes. They're just wearing regular clothes because they're trying to do this somewhat kind of like, covert, like undercover almost, right? And they run into a situation where there is a disease. There's a disease spreading from this hospital. And we find out that the disease is being carried by these like demon insects, sort of like the what are they called? The Makai, the Makai insects from the For Saint Beast arc, right? For the For Saint Beast arc. But these insects are being controlled. Yeah, Makai. Oh, Random Black Gamers in the building. What's happening, baby? Yeah, Makai, right. So these insects operate just like the Makai insects from the For Saint Beast arc. But these insects are being controlled specifically by somebody, and they're being controlled by somebody, and they operate based off of the rules of that person's territory. So it's not just random demon insects, right? So off top, they know, okay, if they're coming from the hospital, that means someone's territory is in the hospital. And of course, they find out that one of the members of Sensui's team is a doctor. So automatically, this is what we find ourselves in. Number one is a hostage situation because now Yusuke's team has to descend upon this hospital to try and save as many people as they can before they get infected. So that's number one, right? Somewhat of a hostage situation. Number two, it's a whodunit because they don't know Doctor's identity. So they're running throughout the hospital trying to avoid these insects. People are getting infected with this disease, which is a deadly disease. And they're trying to find the culprit who they know is a doctor that works at the hospital, but they don't know his identity. And then even after they find out his identity, Yusuke is cut off from the rest of the team. So he's by himself on an island. And this is an adversary that because of his abilities, right, and what he's able to do to his body, he has no pain sensors, right? So you can punch him, kick him all day. He won't feel a thing, right? And Doctor calls a bluff because what we learn about how the psychics, the human psychics who acquire these new abilities in Chapter Black, when we learn how territories work and how powers operate within territories, for the most part, if you knock the person unconscious, their territory will pretty much dissolve itself because the person isn't conscious enough to keep up to maintain the territory, right? In order to exercise their power. Doctor calls a bluff though, because Doctor says that the effects of that disease will still occur even if you're knock me unconscious. He puts Yusuke on an island and he says essentially the only way you can stop me is if you kill me. He gives Yusuke he tries to put him into what is seemingly an impossible situation. Because of course Yusuke isn't trying to kill anybody. But this is the point at time in the series where that whole like, oh, will the hero kill question really come to the forefront. Because honestly and truly, before Chapter Black, that was never really an issue. the whole like will or won't Yusuke kill, that wasn't really an issue. And even going into Chapter Black, the way it's justified is that Yusuke was always killing demons. The whole point of Chapter Black is introducing the counter argument, right? Like I say, it's very introspective because it's criticizing the series, it's criticizing the premise, the story, the actions and motivations of the protagonist, right? Because that's the first time we hear about demons being considered as victims to humans, right? And that's the time, that's the first time where we see, well, actually no, it's not the first time. Technically speaking, Dark Tournament was the first time where Team Urameshi was faced, they were pitted against humans, and demons were trying to coerce Team Urameshi to kill humans. So we do it again here, right? And it makes for a really, really, really intense couple of episodes. This is probably the most suspenseful the series ever was for me personally. This was probably the most suspenseful it ever was. As you can see from the GIF, they use the real loose and sketchy animation style in order to make it very fluid. What they do with the shots and the camera angles in the fight are really dynamic. The music choices, because I think this episode does feature a point where they stop with the background music and all you hear is the sound effects for a couple of seconds. So that's really cool too. Yeah, really, really, really good stuff. This is a really, really cool fight. And it's really creepy. It's really fucking creepy, but it's cool. I love it. It's cool. I love it. I dig it. It's fantastic. All right, so checking the chat. What's happening to everybody in the chat? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Oh, we got some good numbers tonight. Welcome, 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 everybody. All right, so yeah, so that's number 3. That's why that fight is number 3 on my list. Really good fight. All right, so yeah, no, I'm gonna reveal my number 2, and then we're gonna talk about honorable mention. We got a lot of honorable mentions tonight, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of honorable mentions. All right, so let me close that. All right, come back here. And actually, I will go ahead and open all 3 of these. Ooh, why did they do that? Hang on a sec. I'm just correcting something real quick. All right, there we go. Lovely. Ah, man. Okay. Messed up. All right. I'll just open it separate. And all right, so okay, I'm seeing some people already guessing some that's on the list. All right, well, all right, so yeah, let's go ahead and let's move on to number 2. All right, so number 2 on the list, Karama versus Karasu. Dark Tournament, first match of the Dark Tournament Finals, is number 2 on my list. Okay, so for those of y'all who watch, who have seen my Yu Hakusho videos or ever heard me talk about Yu Hakusho, you guys know Karama's my favorite character. So you could probably imagine that a Karama fight was going to be on this list somewhere, right? But why did I choose this one? Okay, so a couple of things with this one. All right, so the reason why this is my favorite, well, this is my favorite Karama fight in the series, and the reason why it's one of my favorite fights, period, is because once again, much like Yusuke and Toguro, there was a really cool setup for this fight, but I would argue it was done in the complete opposite fashion that the Yusuke Toguro fight was set up. And this is what I mean. There was so much mystery and there was so much intrigue in this fight before we finally got it. And this is what I'm talking about. Think about this. Prior to this fight, we honestly did not know much about Karasu. And we knew very little about how his powers work. The only thing we really knew about Karasu, there were only 2 things we really knew about Karasu before this fight. Number 1, we knew that he did have the ability to generate, to manifest bombs, right? So, okay, so demolition expert, right? Okay, cool. We knew, dude, and even with the little bombs that he would make, right? Like very Green Goblin-esque, right? Like he had that Green Goblin vibe, right? So we knew that. And the only other thing we knew about Karasu is that for some odd reason he had a hard on for Karama. He had it out for Karama. Like he targeted Karama from the very start, right? And I still don't remember if they ever went into detail about why he specifically wanted Karama, right? What that was about, what his fascination with Karama was about. But we do know that he was goading Karama this whole fight. Because remember, there was at the beginning of the fight, Karama doesn't even want to transform into Yoko. He actually tried to like prevent it if possible. And then, of course, once he did transform to Yoko, then we got a we kind of got like a what is it, like sort of like a doomsday clock, because remember, Karama could only transform into Yoko Karama for a set period of time. And what was it? It was like 3 minutes or something like that. Like he could only transform for a limited amount of time. And so the whole thing was, the game plan was, it's like, if I have to transform into Yoko, I have to take Karasu out before I transform back, right? And of course, Karasu, dude, he drags this sucker out, right? Well past the time, because Karama ends up transforming back. And then the way he set up Karama, when he started using like his grenades, um, dude, I could argue Karasu should have won this fight. Should have. Just because, and here's the other thing too, because dude, Karasu is such a good tactician, like in terms of being a strategist, just like Karama. So he was the perfect foil for Karama. But if you think about the setup of that fight, the way Karasu set the fight up, by the end of the fight, he really should have won that. But of course, he did not anticipate the reserves that Karama had, because Karama was able to dig deep and find that last bit of power left, enough to right. Okay, yes, technically, right. Karama did find reserves in order to defeat Karasu, but as my man Period just mentioned, Karasu actually technically did win, because Karama didn't answer the call in time. Karama was counted as down because he didn't rise to his feet on time. So technically, Karasu did win. But once again, that's what makes it such a fucking fascinating fight. It was a really good fight. It was a really good fight. It was really cool. It was really cool. It was really cool. Oh, according to Kurofan, he says, oh, so Karasu was in love with Karama. He had a crush on Karama. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay, so yeah, so that's why it's number 2 on my list. It was a really good fight. A lot of intrigue in this fight. A lot of things because we got to see Karasu's whole, piece and whatnot. We got to see the return of Yoko Karama in this fight. So yeah, all in all, it's a pretty cool fight. Pretty cool fight. All right. So, all right, guys. So I'm starting to get the sense that more people actually dig the honorable mentions more than the list. This is becoming like a favorite part of the top 5, right? All right. So yeah, it's time for y'all favorite part, right? Let's talk about honorable mentions, and we have plenty of honorable mentions, and I'll get into more detail about that. All right. So here's the deal with the honorable mentions. All right, folks. Okay. First and foremost, this is what I'm gonna do. Okay. So my honorable mentions for tonight are actually broken up into 2 different categories. Okay. I'm going to explain why. The first category are fights that didn't make the list, right? Like just regular old fights that didn't make the list. That's the first category. The second category are confrontations. By definition, these were encounters that technically were not fights. They were confrontations that led to resolutions throughout the story, but technically speaking, because of the circumstances, they were not fights. That list is actually a lot longer than the fights that didn't make the list. So just keep in mind, we're going to spend more time on the confrontations than we did on the fights. Real quick, let's talk about the honorable mentions that are just straight up, flat out fights in the series. Okay, so number one honorable mention, Yusuke versus Chu. Yusuke versus Chu in the first round of the Dark Tournament. That's one of my favorite fights. I love that fight. I love the way it ends. It's a very nostalgic fight for me because it's actually one of the first fights I ever read in the manga. One of the first chapters I ever read of the manga was the Yusuke Chu fight. The artwork in that manga was fucking beautiful. It was beautiful. Oh, so for those of you all who don't know, if you recall, or maybe you guys do know him, or for those of you all where it just went over your head, if you recall the closing credits to Yu Hakusho, right? The first closing credits, where there's those three like screenshots where we see Yusuke and Chu like punching each other, right? And it's like one shot, one punch, the next shot's the other punch, the next shot's the another punch. Those were actually pulled straight from the manga. The way those are illustrated in those screenshots during the credits are pulled straight from the manga, and they colored them for the anime. Yeah. So yeah, the dude, though that fight, yes, Super Savage Spirit, yes, the knife edge death match, dude. That fight, oh my god, that fight was so good, man. That fight was so good. Oh snap. $10 super chat. First super chat of the night. $10 super chat from Jay Takashi Larry. I'm the huge fan of you. Oh, I'm a huge fan of you and Yu Hakusho. Did you think that the anime ending was good? And if it was, did you cry when it was over? I didn't cry. I didn't cry, but yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought it was really good. I like the anime ending. I like the way it ended. But so yeah. But yeah, once again, thanks to Jay Takashi for the $10 super chat. So yeah, the Yusuke Chu fight, one of my faves. Love that fight. So yeah, so that's an honorable mention for me. Second honorable mention for me, right? In terms of straight up fights, Bowie versus Hiei. The third, is it the yeah, third, no, second. It's the second fight of the Dark Tournament semis. I mean, not semis, finals. I'm sorry, finals. Yeah, it's the second fight because it's before Kuwabara and Elder Toguro. And okay, so yeah, that one, dude, just straight up, once again, it's another one of the fights that used a very like loose and sketchy animation. That one was just a slobber knocker, like real talk. That one, that one was just a straight up brawl. Like okay, no, I'm sorry. If Yusuke and Chu was a straight up slobber knocker, like a straight up brawl, Bowie and Hiei was just like balls to the wall, like demon powers, right? That's when we got to see the double Dragon of the Darkness flame. That's when we got to see what's the name of the episode? Under Bowie's armor. When Bowie like took his armor off for the first time, and that dude was just reeking of like demon energy. Like, dude, that was a fight for the blast cannons, right? For those of y'all who know the term blast cannon, it's like, look, we gonna put everything we got into this shot. Afterwards, we're screwed. We're screwed. Like there is no defense in this fight. This is full on an offensive affront. It's just a really cool fight. Straight up, it's just a really cool fight. Yeah. So that's why it's an honorable mention. Because if it wasn't for the ones on this list, it would be on my list. All right. So I'll be honest with y'all. In terms of straight up fights, that's kind of where the honorable mentions ends. because I have more confrontations than straight up fights in the honorable mentions. All right, like I mentioned, the second category, confrontations. These were encounters that resulted in resolutions, but they did not necessarily come to blows in terms of fights. Are we clear? All right. That being said, the number one, because otherwise it would be my favorite if it was a fight. Karama versus Game Master. Karama versus Game Master. Arguably my favorite episode of the entire series. The Goblin, what is it? Goblin City. The Goblin City match between Karama and Game Master in his territory. Arguably my favorite episode of the entire series. I love that episode. I love everything about that episode. I love the writing. I love the dialogue. I love the significance of that in the series. Um, what that whole conflict meant, not only in that story arc, right? Um, yeah, Katakuri fan got it right. In that episode, I wanted to buy Karama a drink. Who you telling, bruh? But what that conflict meant for, like, pertaining to Chapter Black, right? And the parties involved. So Sensui, what we really learned about Sensui in that encounter, what that meant for Game Master, what that did to Karama, dude. That, yeah, yeah. If this was a list of just favorite Yu Yu Hakusho confrontations, not necessarily fights, but just confrontations, anything, period, fight or confrontation. If there just number one, it would be Karama versus Game Master would be number one. Love it. Y'all gonna hear a lot of Karama moments because my favorite Karama moments, most of them aren't fights. With that being said, number two, Karama versus Saito in the House of Four Dimensions, the word game that they play. That's arguably my favorite. So for those of y'all wondering, my two favorite episodes of Yu Yu Hakusho, arguably the Karama Game Master episode and the Karama Saito episode. Those two, right? Um, but yeah, the word game episode, really good, really good. Yeah, really good, really good. I love that. I love that episode. I love the way they come up with the game. I love the way they play, how strategic. They spend the whole episode trying to outsmart each other, and then of course what Karama does at the end of the episode in order to win the game. Really good. One of my favorites. One of my favorites. Okay, number three, confrontation. Right, Kuwabara versus Seaman. 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 Right, because there's only one of them. It's not a crew. I was thinking Seaman like it's a crew. Seaman. Kuwabara versus Seaman. Once again, technically it's not a fight because that whole confrontation, Seaman captures Kuwabara and his friends within his territory. And then Kuwabara breaks out of his territory. And that's pretty much it. It's not really a fight. It is an argument because they spend the whole time going back and forth about Sensui's plan, about ideologies, about the role that each one of them plays within this conflict, about the role humanity plays and the worth of humanity and all that. It is very much, and you wouldn't think it from Kuwabara, but to have that exchange of ideas between those characters, and then when you really think about it, Kuwabara, it kind of makes the most sense that that's who we would get to see in that argument because Kuwabara is the most earnest of all of Team Urameshi. Think about it. Kuwabara is the one with the code, right? He's the one that is like the most altruistic, you know? So, So yeah, so but that, like, those two episodes with Seaman, I thought they were really good. And of course, that's when we discover. Actually, I think that's the first time. I think that's the first time we discover how Sensui has manipulated the other members of his team in order to get them into his fold. Like, he indoctrinates them and he preys upon them. And we see that with the mind job that he did to Seaman. When we see what that looks like. So so yeah. So yeah. That would be number 3 in terms of confrontations. Um, Number 4 in terms of confrontations, because technically it wasn't a fight. Karama and Elder Toguro in Chapter Black. That wasn't really a fight. Karama kicked his ass. He beat the bricks off the boy and he set him up in one of the most dude, I kind of don't even want to spoil it if y'all don't know what I'm talking about. What Karama, dude, one of the most G moments in the entire series. Karama, hands down. What he does to Elder Toguro, bruh, bruh. Dude, so much so that I think that's the scene where Yusuke turns to Karama and he says, Karama, if I ever did anything to piss you off, I'm sorry. Dude. Yeah, dude. Karama, cold blooded. So yeah, so that confrontation, that would be an honorable mention. I'm trying to think. Okay, real quick, I'll throw this out here sort of as an honorable mention, just because it's a fight I really liked and I always laughed at. Genkai versus the beautiful Suzuka. The fight is just hilarious. That's why I wanted to throw it in here. That fight was just funny as hell. So yeah. Oh, okay. Confrontations. This one would be another confrontation. Genkai versus younger Toguro. Once again, it wasn't really a fight as it was just a confrontation, because we know how one-sided the whole affair was. But that was really cool too, especially their first conversation with each other when they first see each other. Like, that, man, that was some really tense stuff. But that was another really good one. All right, so with that being said, it's time to reveal number 1. And I want to know real quick, everybody in the chat, if y'all can figure out what my number 1 is. I'll give you a hint. My number 1 was an honorable mention in my top 5 favorite anime fights. It didn't make the list, but it was an honorable mention. Or did it make the list, actually? Did I put it on the list? For my top 5 favorite? I don't think I did. I don't think I did put it on the list. I could be wrong, though. Wait. Dude, you know what? It's so crazy. My top 5 favorite anime. Dude, I got to go back and look at my top 5 favorite anime fights, because I don't know if I put it on. I want to say it was an honorable mention. I don't think I put it on the list. But I want to see if anybody gets it. So far, one person got it. Technically. Because Super Savage Spirit gave 2 answers. So far, only one person got it. 2 people got it. I guess if everybody reading the chat, they can probably figure out what it is, right? You just look at the chat. 2 people got it so far. Oh, no more comments coming in. All right, yeah, I guess everybody's done. I got one more person got it. One person know they got it. Yusuke versus Bat in Genkai's Forest. Was that even a fight? I think he just got destroyed. Up, $5 super chat. Another $5 super chat from Jay Takashi. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate that. In the Saint Beast arc, Hiei tells Yusuke and Kuwabara that Karama is more cutthroat than he is when it comes to battle and unbelievably precise. That's right. That's right. Yeah, he does. Hiei until Dark Tournament, Hiei is pretty much the one that kind of fills us in on what Karama's capable of. He's sort of our window character into Karama because we don't really know before the Dark Tournament. After the Dark Tournament, of course, we find out. You know what? This just reminds me though. Okay, we got to do a quick recap. Everybody ready? We got to do a quick recap. Let's do a quick recap. All right, so recap time. Number 5 on my list was Hiei versus Seiryu from the Four Saint Beasts arc, right? Number 4 on my list was Yusuke versus Toguro, the Dark Tournament Finals. Number 3 on my list was Yusuke versus Doctor from Chapter Black. Number 2 on my list was Karama versus Karasu from the first match of the Dark Tournament Finals. And I do believe, okay, so real quick, let me go through it. Katakuri fan, Yusuke Knight, and Vin Frost all got it right. They all got it right. Number 1 on my list, yeah, Yusuke versus Yomi is my number 1 favorite Yu Hakusho fight. Yeah. Number 1 fave. All right. I know a lot of people are going to be shocked because I bet you a lot of people were expecting Yusuke versus Sensui, but no, actually it's Yusuke versus Yomi. That's my favorite one. Okay, so why is this one my favorite one? Couple of reasons. Number 1, Yomi's my favorite villain in Yu Yu Hakusho. I love Yomi. I love. Well, first off, I love his design. I love his deal, his gimmick. You know, with him being blind, but then having like the 6 ears. You know, him having like the super hearing, right? Like I just think that's cool. It's very Daredevilish, right? Which I'm a huge Daredevil fan, but y'all knew that already. So yeah, I've always liked Yomi, right? Also, Yomi's motivation, and his objective in Saga of the Three Kings, like the notion of unifying Demon World, but under him. Keep in mind what it is Yomi's trying to do. He is trying to conquer. He's a conqueror, right? And we know based off of what his he goes as far as to call Makoro tyrannical, but we do know that under Yomi, Demon World would have been an authoritarian sort of government, right? I think, and you know what's funny about that too? Like, I wish we would have gotten more time with the 3 Demon Kings together, like scenes with them together. Because for the most part, we spend that entire saga with them commenting on each other, but they never talk to each other, right? And but yeah, I think at one point they mentioned Yomi being like idealist or whatever, but we do know that there are multiple times throughout that saga where people are afraid of what would happen if Yomi was to actually succeed in unifying Demon World. They bring that up multiple times, right? So, and I like how Yomi is like his kingdom is the technologically advanced one. I love like how he's always trying to use science and technology to get the leg up, and it's the Demon World tournament that kind of brings him back to like his warrior place. You know what I'm saying? So I dug that. I always dug that about Yomi. Oh, and his voice actor is fucking phenomenal. The voice performance is phenomenal for Yomi. I forget the actor's name at this given time, but the performance is great, right? So And then here's the thing too. To say that Yomi is pretty much the young buck amongst the three demon kings when he faces Yusuke, it is sort of like that grown man versus like the young whippersnapper, right? That old man versus the young whippersnapper. You totally get that vibe. Um, but yeah, but dude, I love that fight. I love the fight because of the stakes. Because, like I said, like thinking, Infinite Will. He says Rick Robertson did a good job then. Yeah, he did a really good job with Yomi. Um, but yeah, but it's like the significance of Yomi and Yusuke's fight, right? Which even when you consider this though, like remember when this fight takes place during the Demon World tournament. It's not the finals. It's not even the semis or the quarterfinals. It's like early in the tournament when they get matched up against each other. And but yeah, like I just like their fight. Oh, here's the big dude. This is the thing I love most about the fight. I love because here's the thing. Keep in mind, like you guys might remember, especially if you're familiar with the series, y'all might recall how how Yusuke always seems to kind of have these change of hearts in the middle of his fights, right? And it's supposed to be like some type of like revelation that occurs to him. And we're the audience, we're supposed to appreciate that about Yusuke because it's like he's learning more about himself and more about the world in terms of um in terms of what's going on like with that fight. Yomi has the best response to those Yusuke change of heart moments. Yomi loses his shit on Yusuke. He goes off. Why? Because keep in mind what Yomi had to do in order to participate in the tournament. Essentially, Yomi abdicated his throne in order to compete in the tournament. And that was a great gamble for him. He abdicated his throne for the chance to rule all of Demon World. And the person whose idea it was to throw the tournament in the first place all of a sudden says he doesn't want to fight. Yomi's like, you petulant child. And he loses his. Boy, when he gets them demon energy gloves and he starts boxing the shit out of Yusuke, oh my goodness, dude. He tore Yusuke's ass up. And then, of course, dude, the fight has one of my favorite finishes. See, that's the thing. Like a lot of the fights in Yu Yu Hakusho, like they're good fights. The finishes are some of the finishes are so-so though, right? Like some of them are so-so. Like sometimes the fight itself is better than the ending of the fight, right? This one has one of the better endings. When Yusuke unlocked sacred energy, I fucking lost it, dude. Real talk, real talk. I fucking lost because I did not see it coming, and I felt like I should have seen it coming. Like, here's the thing, like Yusuke's Mazaku transformation in Chapter Black, that one I saw coming. Granted, I was spoiled to it a few years before I actually saw it, but that one I kind of expected. Like, I anticipated something like that happening. And then the conclusion of Yusuke and Sensui, I knew once he transformed what was going to happen with that. Just like I knew Yusuke was going to beat Toguro, but this one, dude, when Yusuke unlocked sacred energy, I lost my shit, dude. I really did. I thought that was so fucking cool. I thought that was so cool. And then, of course, Yusuke reverts back to using the spirit energy because the whole story arc, he's using demon energy, stumbles across sacred energy, and then eventually ends up going back to spirit energy. And he goes toe to toe with Yomi like that. And dude, it's just a really good fucking fight. Oh, and then of course, just like my number 2 fight, Yusuke doesn't win this one. He loses. He loses. Yep, he loses. Yomi won. Now Yomi got knocked. He gets knocked out of the tournament in the next round, but Yusuke get knocked out here. Yeah, but it's a good fight, man. It's a really good fight. Uh, yeah. So and real quick, I'll share. Yeah, because I didn't realize I'd be through talking about the fight that soon. Cause dude, this hang on, where is it? Let me pull it up. Yeah, man, this screenshot. Ooh, this screenshot when their fight was pretty much winding down. Oh man, good shit, good shit, good shit. So yeah, so that's why it's number one on my list. That's why it's number one. I think the fight, narratively speaking, right? Like the fight really did a lot for Yusuke as a character in terms of like his maturity, in terms of him like growing up, coming to terms. And keep this in mind too, because of everything Yusuke was dealing with in that story arc, you know, because essentially Saga of the Three Kings is the atonement with the father. For all of my Joseph Campbell hero's journey fans out there, right? Like that's the part of the story that's atonement with the father, right? Um, because Yusuke is trying to learn about his demon lineage. He's trying to make sense of that whole thing, trying to figure out where he fits in. Because not only is he, not only is he heir to like a demon race, because he's the only Masaku that we know of, right? He's the only Masaku we know of, and then, but also like a demon world king. Like he's heir to one of the three kingdoms of demon world, and pretty much trying to figure out where he fits in with that. Um, and yeah, like in many ways, the fight helps him grow up. And then with Yomi, it's kind of a return to form for Yomi. Like it's sort of like it's a soul searching moment for Yomi too. You know. Um. So yeah. So it's really good, really good stuff. Good stuff. So yeah. So yeah, that's why it is number one on my list. And with that being said, those are my top five favorite Yu Hakusho fights. Those are my top five favorites. All right, so let us then. All right, cool. So yeah, so let's go ahead and let's hit up. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Let's see how far back I can go into the chat. Ooh, man, I missed some of the early chats. I missed some of the early ones. Um, let's see. Let's see if there's any questions in the chat. Boom. I see a lot of people sharing their thoughts on some of their favorite fights. Let's see. Are there any others? What was the original ending? What was the original ending to Yusuke versus Sensui? Ending how? Like I'm not sure how to answer that question. Oh. Oh, I get it. I get it now. This says Togashi wanted to end with Sensui, but his editors asked him to extend. That makes sense. If you like Saga of the Three Kings feels like attacked on story arc. So that makes sense. Kind of like Boo Saga for DBZ. Oh. Let's see. Do we have any other? Cool. Somebody says Kuwabara versus Rinku. Um, that was a fun little fight. Not one of my favorites, but it was a fun little fight with the demon yo-yos. Yeah. Let's see. Do, 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 do. Katakuri fan says, I think I prefer Yomi versus Shura. To be honest, this one was a disappointment for me. Yeah, that one was an okay fight. I'm not a fan of Shura. That was my only thing. Shura was a little obnoxious to me. I mean, he's supposed to be because he's a little kid, but yeah, it didn't because that fight didn't have the same stakes that his fight with Yusuke did. That's the main gist of it. It didn't have the same weight. And besides, you knew Yomi was going to win that fight. I honestly did not know who was going to win between Yomi and Yusuke. I didn't because it was the last fight of the series. So, and I knew it was the last fight of the series because I was cognizant of the episode number. So I'm like, dude, we only got a couple of episodes left in this series. Like, this is it. So I honestly didn't know who was going to win that. Um, This one, Curry fan, he says we should have seen Ryzen in battle via flashback. Dude, you ain't lying. Dude, I would have loved to seen Ryzen fight. Oh, we got another $10 super chat from Jay Takashi. Thanks so much, man. Thanks so much, man. Big supporter tonight. He says, Larry, do you think Ryzen's backstory on why he decided not to eat humans was good, or do you think it could have been better since he fell in love with a human plus Yusuke getting beat by Ryzen was funny? I think the I mean, I thought Ryzen's backstory was fine. Um as it pertained to that. All right, so yeah, let me go through the. Do you think Ryzen's backstory on why he decided not to eat humans was good, or do you think it could have been better since he fell in love with a human? No, actually, no, it made sense. I thought that being the reason why he doesn't eat humans made sense. Um, yeah, I thought that made sense. The only thing I wish is that we would have known more about Yusuke's ancestor, specifically her, because we only know what Ryzen told Yusuke, but we don't get to spend enough time with her in flashback. So I was more interested in her. What was so special? I mean, because we know what because Ryzen describes her and he talks about her and stuff like that. But it's one thing, it's sort of that show don't tell. And in that instance, they told us we didn't see it. So that's the thing. The only other thing, particularly in terms of Ryzen's back, dude, I wish we would have got to see Ryzen like I wish we could have seen or at least heard how Ryzen became a king in the first place. Because here's the other thing too, like Mazaku, right? I guess you could say like the species of demon or the race of demon that Ryzen is. He's a Mazaku. Mazaku in Japanese equals like great demon or like king demon, chief demon. So it's like if his race is all, I mean, if that's like the literal translation of his race, right? Like I'm I'm pretty sure Ryzen wasn't born into his crown. I'm pretty sure he had to earn it. I just wish we could have learned more about what Ryzen was like prior to his fasting. Because we only hear whispers of it from his super S class demon friends, but yeah, I just kind of wish because we got a full blown backstory for Makoro and we got a backstory for Yomi. We didn't really get a backstory for Ryzen, which is odd considering that Ryzen is the oldest of the other two, unless Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why we didn't get a backstory for. I wish we'd have gotten a backstory for Ryzen. Yeah. Thanks again for the $10 super chat. All right, let me go. Let me catch some more of these. Let me catch some more of these real quick. Don't want to make this one too long, but let us see. All right, where was I? Okay. Yes, no, Yomi is a villain, and he did do a lot of underhanded things. Like, because remember, Yomi was essentially blackmailing Karama to work for him. Karama was always under the threat of Yomi's retaliation. So and that was underhanded because Yomi was spying. Because here's the thing, we knew that one of Yomi's lieutenants set up that like was essentially spying on Karama, but we found out that Yomi knew about that and he allowed that to happen. Yomi didn't protect Karama against that. He didn't insulate himself in between Karama and that other general. So we knew that. Like I said, he pretty much had Karama under threat of retaliation the whole time, right? He um he was actually planning on assassinating Yusuke at that initial meeting, which was why Karama and Chu and the rest of the guys were waiting in that room. He was planning on setting up Yusuke. We know that Shura was a plot in order to give Yomi an unfair advantage in the Demon World tournament. No, Yomi's a villain. He is a villain. He's not sinister, but he is a villain. He is a villain. Yomi's a villain. Yeah, definitely. He is a villain. Let's see. Yomi is awesome. I agree with you, Larry. Gosh, he's totally skipping this fight. Okay, individual. I really got to watch Yu now. Trent, have you never seen it? Have you never seen Yu Hakusho? Dude, why not? You should have been seeing that. It's good. It's on Hulu. Go watch it. Um, let's see. Oh, here go one. Larry, explain how Karama's powers work. Where does he get his seeds? Um, I thought he was able to manifest them. Just like he can manifest his rose whip. Because it's not like he keeps a bunch of plants on him. I thought he was able to manifest them. Do, 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 do. Okay, I got that one. Did you? This one's from Super Savage Spirit. Did you like the Yusuke versus Rando fight? That yeah, I did. But again, that was one of the ones that kind of had a lackluster ending. But yeah, I did. Um, oh, Shot Red is in the building. Nick's in the building. I came in late on live stream. Did you like the fight of Yusuke versus the sniper or Karama that destroyed the kid in the video game challenge? I did talk about that, Nick. The one week the confrontation with Game Master didn't make the list because technically it's not a fight. It was a confrontation, but it wasn't a fight. That's why it's in the honorable mentions, though. I talked about it, and I didn't mention Yusuke versus Sniper. Honestly, that wasn't much of a fight either. That was more of that was a chase. Actually, that's what that one was. That was a chase. Let's see. Someone mentioned that. Oh, here we go. Did you think Genkai should have stayed dead at the end of the Dark Tournament? Actually, I do. Actually, I do. Um, because well, number one, for the sake of the narrative, right? Like I think the story was, would have been stronger. It would have been like the Yusuke Toguro fight, like the stakes, like all of that would have been impacted more had Genkai not come back. And then I thought about it. I said, but wait a minute, let me ask myself this. I was like, if Genkai wasn't, if she didn't come back, who would have been the explanatory character in Chapter Black, right? Like because Genkai does play a very important role in Chapter Black. She plays very much of a mentor role in Chapter Black. But then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what though? That would have been Koenma's time to really like have an impact on the series, other than just his role. Like in terms of like because let's be real about this. Koenma is still very much like in the shadows for most of Chapter Black. When that saga specifically is probably the most intimate we are with Koenma, and the stakes are so high for Koenma in that arc. I feel like they should have kept Genkai dead, and Koenma should have been that like sort of mentor-ish character in Chapter Black, because that conflict dealt so much with Koenma specifically. That's what I think they should have done. But I still love Genkai in that story arc. Because again, she was one of like I've said this before. I think I've told you all this before. Genkai is my favorite like anime mentor, like my favorite mentor in anime. So which shit, that's another list. I bet somebody's going, "Ooh, Larry, what's your top 5 favorite anime mentors?" Well, I already spoiled it for you. Yeah, Genkai is my favorite mentor. I love Genkai. So I was glad to have her back in Chapter Black, but I think Koenma could have very easily have fulfilled that role too. Um Oh, here we go. Was it ever explained how Ryzen was wounded in battle before meeting his lover? I assume it was from other demons. Nah, they never mentioned what the um the fight was. Oh, actually no, wasn't it no, he was injured by villagers actually. He was injured by humans because um they caught him feeding on other humans. Yeah, because Ryzen does mention that. He does mention that. Did you like how the anime made Spirit World more of friend of Yusuke, or in the manga where it's more of them using him? Spirit World wasn't really a friend of Yusuke in the anime because remember I mean Yusuke's only real friend in Spirit World was Botan and Koenma. Because look what happened during Chapter Black, and then of course look what happens in Saga of the Three Kings. Spirit World was never really a friend of Yusuke, not really. Okay, let's see. Where am I? I think I'm almost through with the questions. Um, okay, I already answered that one. Oh, okay, there's the answer. Karama puts his demon energy into regular plants. Oh, oh, huh. Okay, hang on a minute. Let's see. Larry, since Yusuke is Rising Sun, does that mean that he and Keiko have a child that carry the aneurysm of the Mazaku? Oh, if he and Keiko have a child that carries the aneurysm of the Mazaku, will it also have Yusuke's spirit powers plus demon power too? Well, ideally, it would have to. It would have to, because that's how the Mazaku was able to manifest itself. Remember the way they explained it? When Yusuke died the first time, he wasn't strong enough to manifest his Mazaku ability because he hadn't had um any training in terms of like spiritual energy. Like his spiritual energy was practically non-existent, right? It was just regular human level. But then when he came back, it was all of those, all, I mean, everything up to that point in the story that was, building his spirit energy that made him susceptible to the Mazaku. So yeah, that same thing would almost have to happen with his offspring in order for his offspring to to manifest Mazaku abilities. That child would have to have substantial spirit energy already prior to manifesting said Mazaku abilities. Is like a prerequisite almost. Because remember, Yusuke is a human and Keiko's a human. It's not like Yusuke would breed with a demon, right? Because maybe then that would be a different story. But with that specific hypothetical, that's what would have to happen. I know Iroh would be on Larry's mentor list. Maybe. Is Jiraiya one of your favorite anime mentors? I can't reveal that. Can't reveal that. Um, let's see. Kind of seems BS that mere humans can injure an S-class demon. Just saying. Oh, was questionable, dude. Did you like did you like Sensui as an S-class human? Did I like Sensui as an S-class human? I mean, oh, you mean his ability to be S-class? Well, I always thought Sacred Energy was kind of BS. I always thought they kind of pulled that out of nowhere. Like literally pulled it out of thin air. Um, Conceptually, I like the idea of it. The fact that Sensui could do it, I thought was BS. I thought it was bogus that Sensui could pull that off. It made when Yusuke was able to do it, it made more sense. Sensui being able to do it, I call BS on that one. All right, so yeah. So that I made it to the end of the questions. This one's from No Longer Human. I was wondering how do I request a movie review? Excellent question. No Longer Human. No Longer Human. You can request a movie review by becoming a patron at patreon.com/OAW. The link is in the description box below. Go to patreon.com/OAW and select the blockbuster tier. That's how you request a movie review. So yeah. All righty. All right. So yeah, that's it. All right. Woo, under 90 minutes tonight. Good show. Good show. Good job. But yeah, so once again, I want to thank so let me go ahead, take this opportunity right now to once again thank OAW patron Khalil Young again for remaining a patron, for supporting the channel, and for providing another interesting challenging list, another interesting yet challenging list for top five. thank you so much. Thank you so much again. And once again, just to remind you all, as I just mentioned, if you guys have an idea for a top 5 list that you would like to see me do right here on the channel, or as mentioned earlier by No Longer Human, if you guys have a request for like a movie review, TV series, anime, if you have a topic for a discussion of the week, anything like that, become a patron at patreon.com/OAW. I have several tiers with spots still available. FYI, I just want to let y'all know though, for those of you all interested in movie reviews, there's only one spot left for the blockbuster tier. So go ahead and nab it up right now. There's only one left, only one spot left. But there are still spots available for top 5. There's still spots available for Crunchyroller, which is the anime tier, and there are still spots available for Advice Corner, which is the one-on-one video conference tier. So yeah, and with each one of those requests, once again, you also get access to the OAW Vault, which is the exclusive library of the original Otaku Assemble weekly videos, those original anime, manga review, movie review, rants, all of those old school OAW vids. You get access to that. You get access to any Patreon exclusive content, and you get an on-camera shout out, of course, and you also get an invite to the monthly Q&A, all included with your video requests at that particular tier of your choice. Once again, that is patreon.com/OAW, and the link is also in the description box below. All right, so once again, I want to thank you guys for joining me again tonight. I want to thank you guys for tuning in throughout this week. If you have not yet done so, please feel free, check out the past uploads this week. What did we have? We had our movie review this week was Stomp the Yard. We had another Batman Telltale video went up on Wednesday. Another Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 video went up last night. This video is rounding up this week's of uploads. Stay tuned because I'll be back on Monday with another movie review. Discussion of the week, it returns next week. I'm actually working on getting some guests for that one. Just bear with me, y'all. Next week is going to be kind of heavy. But yeah. So yeah, movie review on Monday. Discussion of the week will be back on Friday. I'll probably have 2 Batman Telltale videos for you all next week, and then of course the next OAW Vault release that's going to be on Monday morning. Keep an eye out for that. Once again, as always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you like this video and you know someone else who might like it, please feel free, share it with a friend, share it on social media. If this is your first time at OAW Entertainment, first and foremost, welcome. And become a subscriber. Subscribe. Make sure you press that bell for the reminder so you guys get notified as soon as I go live or as soon as I upload anything. Keep that in mind too. Follow me on social media. Facebook.com/OAW Entertainment, Twitch.com/OAW ENTMT, and that was Twitter. Twitter.com/OAW ENTMT, and Twitch.tv/OAW_entertainment. And of course, last but certainly not least, Patreon.com/OAW. Also keep an eye out on the community tab on the channel. Recently, I did a poll for the next video game that I'm going to be streaming on Twitch. I think last time I checked, Batman Telltale Season 2, Enemy Within, won. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to finish that up because we only have 2 episodes left of that. And then after that, I saw a lot of votes for Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I am also considering going ahead and picking up Kakarot since I know it's on sale right now. But I'm also contemplating doing a GameFly subscription, so I might just rent it. But I'll do another poll. I'll do another poll after this one. But so keep an eye out on that. All right, so I'm done. I'm done talking. I'm done beating my gums. Thanks again for joining me live tonight. Thank you all. Love you guys. Y'all awesome. I do it for the faithful, right? I do it for the faithful. But with that being said, this has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. I'm signing off. And until next time, peace.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?